Hello everyone, this is Natalia on Luxury with Natalia, Yachting International Radio, live here from Monaco with Alan Coxon. Alan, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hello everybody at home watching. Yes, live from Monaco, and it's a pretty rough day today. The sea, I've never seen it so rough. I came here, I worked here years ago, and I can never remember it being that rough ever in all the 4 years that I was here.
It's true, and actually last time I saw you was on an event for a private client on a yacht, and we had some trouble there as well with the weather.
It calmed down when I arrived, thank goodness.
Yeah, come back more often, maybe not today, but...
I've got to do a lot of work to calm that down.
So Alan, what are you doing in Monaco?
I've been asked, returning again for the 4th year for the Chefs World Summit, a gathering of some of the finest chefs in the world, which is a great honour and privilege for me to be a part of. Invited 4 years ago to do the canopies for the best 100 chefs of the world.
Ooh.
Now, I always like to challenge myself with something new and exciting, and I don't think, a lot of people ask me, or basically they tell me, they say, Alan, you should have come to our dinner party yesterday. I said, but I wasn't invited. And they say, well, yeah, we didn't realise it would work out so nice and so good. You frighten us, so we're frightened to invite you for some food.
Yeah.
Now then, to put it into context, I know exactly how they feel, because having to do canopies for the best 100 chefs of the world, yeah, that put me on the spot, and I had to create something new, something interesting. But I also thought very deep and hard in terms of what is it I can offer the best in the world, what they may not have seen, tasted, experienced, and it's no good trying to take them on with French cuisine, with French gastronomy, with classics. I'm not even going to go there.
Touchy-feely.
Very sensitive. So I took a twist on Indian street food.
Oh, wonderful.
And a little panipuri, which I came across and I thought it was the most fascinating item that I'd come across for a long time. It really stimulated me. These little tiny balls, sort of the size of a ping pong ball.
Right.
Light and crisp. And there's only 4 ingredients that go into it. And I thought, that's easy to do. 4 ingredients, no problem. It took me a week to try and master these things.
You see, the smaller it is, the harder it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Won't even go there.
We'll get onto that topic in a minute.
And moving on. These things, they come out flat. It's semolina flour, bit of oil, bit of water, salt, bang, roll it. Now, the thickness of roll, vital. The kneading time, vital. 12 and a half minutes knead, exactly. Specific. 15 minutes resting, no more, no less. Rolling to the millimeterage, perfectly level. Resting perfectly. Frying 165 degrees, spot on. And then, if you get all those elements, simple elements right, they'll just go off into a fluff ball. But there's also a technique of cooking them as well, because if you don't keep poking them down and fighting with them, they won't puff up. So as soon as they start to rise, then the battle begins, pushing them down, forcing them down, and they're trying to rise. So it's all this fun and games, and it eventually rises into this lovely, beautiful core. You take that out when it's crisp, let it dry, and then cut off a quarter of the top and fill it. I filled it with, I did 2 versions. One with a salmon, like a salmon gravlax, topped with caviar, beluga caviar, and another with traditional Indian potato chop, spiced potato, and I had these, what do you call them, injectors, and I filled them with a fresh tamarind liquid, stuck them in ice. Now the beauty of this dish is right at the last minute, you take your tamarind injection and you squeeze it all into the ball and you pop the entirety into your mouth, and that's where we get this explosion.
Oh, I'm getting hungry now.
Textures are crisp and they explode in the mouth, the spices come through at the back, and the liquid, that acidity from the tamarind, the freshness, hints of fresh mint coming through. And to me, that was just one of those really stimulating items. So I put that on, and it worked.
Sounds delightful.
And I got invited back.
And he's back, and we're happy to have you here.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Now, when I first met you, I came across you at a TEDx event, a Monte Carlo, TEDx Monte Carlo in 2016, and you were just fascinating on stage. I mean, it's no surprise, you've done this so many times, these shows, but you're an animated person, you've got so much to talk about. You're an inventor, innovator. You're also a master chef, of course. Tell us a bit more about that experience. How was that for you?
The TEDx was an interesting one. I've had the huge pleasure in my career to film, I think, over 1,250 TV shows to date. every one of them slightly different, every technique slightly different, and you know what? It's taken all of that for me to really, I think, learn. The techniques, the timing, it was a different job and career to what I've been used to, i.e. a chef, despite cooking on TV. It's far more acting, I suppose, than cooking in reality. So a lot of people automatically can think that just because you're used to TV, then you can get on a stage. Now, the biggest challenge I've often found in that transition, should I say, from kitchen to stage, is all of a sudden they removed this work surface in front of me. Now, between you and I, that was my protection. I had a barrier between absolutely everybody.
Hold on to it.
My little kitchen in front of me, that was the protection. You remove that from the front of me, I was naked. And you feel so vulnerable, so much more insecure, because I can talk about anything, any ingredient. I can tell you the history of it and the journey of that ingredient. And I just love food and history of food. So even if I forget or get lost in my own recipe,
pick something up.
I can talk about it. But when you remove all the elements, you take it right down to the bone. It's just you and the people. It's you and the eye contact, you and the timing, your delivery. And that's, you start to think quite differently.
And the stopwatch, of course.
And the stopwatch.
It's staring
now,
at you.
I had this guy, despite being on television, I had this wonderful American voiced actor phoning me up every so often to do some training. And he was a little bit at a loss on how he could train me, having done all those shows and TV shows, but he did and he could. But what I found most frustrating was I was asked to write word for word exactly how and what I was going to deliver.
Right.
So A4, 16 pages, whatever it may have been, you had exactly 10 minutes, not a second more, exactly 10 minutes. So trying to do that, and then try to time it, and then also try to remember it.
Yes.
So you do all that, and then you have to deliver it to him over the phone. To which he thanks me, I then send it to him, and they then go and amend everything.
Oh no, so you did all that work, and then you have to go again.
Then you start again.
Oh.
And you do that, and then someone else will amend it, and then someone else, until you get to some kind of version which really didn't relate to the original version, that what you wanted to talk about. Just slightly. So then what I had to do is sort of try and build back what I believe in, what is my passion, what is my belief in terms of that story, but also tweak it to how they would have liked it.
And the title was 50
The original title.
All right.
The original title was Sexology of Taste.
Now, controversial.
Now, I had my reasons for calling it the Sexology of Taste because there's a male-female differential in terms of how we taste. Ladies have more papillae than men, so therefore they pick up different flavours from different foods. So therefore, as a chef, I find it interesting because we sit down and often have the same meals.
Yes.
But the lady will taste differently to the man. So I'm starting to look at and investigating meals for females, meals for males, etc. Which is an interesting concept. So the Sexology of Taste is quite a fair title, I felt. But what others felt or thought was Sexology of Taste meant the sex involved somehow. Right? Well, that's not what I was thinking. So they automatically thought aphrodisiac foods.
Yes.
Foods to stimulate. And I said, look, that's been done so many times. However, the Sexology of Taste, no one's ever heard of it. And it's something which I've been researching over the last 5 and 8 years. And more and more research, the more you get into it, the more fascinating it becomes. But very few people know about it or have spoken about it. And I think there's some interest where you could actually start to develop meals, ready-made meals for ladies, ready-made meals for men. Or in accordance to the quantity of papillae you may have in your tongue.
Right.
So I could see a vision of supermarkets with possibly, it's a little bit tweet, but blue for the boys, pink for the girls, foods, ready-made meals, meals for one, etc., where you can pick up, because they're attuned to the papillae, sweet and sour, etc., of men and female. That's what I had in mind in the big picture of things and how this could be developed. So, having gone through all that for about 6 months before the first ever TEDx Monaco, everything being changed around, I managed to try and bring a little bit of aphrodisiac foods into the story, but also start to take that onto the Sexology of Taste and the differential, as I've just explained, all within 10 minutes. Now then, what the guy said to me, the American voice actor, he said, look, you're used to using the stage, use it. Walk around the stage. You'll be able to do it. I said, I'd love that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to stand in one spot.
Yeah.
I can walk around the stage, no
Like
problem.
a rabbit in the
Exactly. I can move up and down and keep it moving. Great stuff. Until I get there on the day. And then there's a circle on the floor that I am not allowed out of.
Oh no!
And it wasn't a
Everything
very
changed.
big circle at all. And they had this idea of, because I'm used to TV, yet again, I can move around and pretend that I'm in a shop. So I can go shopping for my ingredients. This was the whole interesting idea. Whereas when I'm talking about the aphrodisiac foods, let's go into Alan's virtual store. And here in my virtual store, I have, sugar.
Yeah.
And I take the bag of sugar, the first Viagra known to man. And I'd go into the whole spiel exactly like that. Now, I was going to walk around my stage and pick things off my large supermarket store and use the stage. It would have more impact. But all of a sudden, I could only turn and pivot slightly 5 inches to the right.
At least everything was compact.
It was very compact.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't get many customers in there at all. But all that sort of plays with your mind a little bit when you're delivering on stage in terms of just a little twist. And the other thing which I had, they cut it out of the actual show. Live, it went out, of course, but on the recording, they edited it out. And it was I could always say this, it was my favourite bit of the show. They edited it out.
No, okay, well, we'll have to root for that and see what that
No, you won't be able to find it. It was only seen live, and it was Barry White.
Yes, I remember this. I was there in the audience.
That was my favourite bit. I don't know about yours, but at the particular juncture where you're good to get the chocolate and talk about chocolate, the melting point and everything else, Barry White coming over, and the music. And as I stood there on stage, everyone's face just lit up. I asked them to close their eyes, by the way, and then the music came, and then this smile came on everybody's face, and then you start to talk about chocolate. Now I think it's a wonderful way of integrating food and a story and music and getting imagination flowing, and I do enjoy that. And I can really understand now why comedians enjoy what they do. You know, the sound of people's laughter can be tremendous when you're up there. Just as I saw everybody smiling when I was in the audience.
You
to
did
have
a
that
great
immediate
job,
effect.
definitely. Everybody was pleased with the return and what you were offering, and especially the title, everything was just
It seemed to work.
amazing.
Although yet again, strangely, I felt rather inferior.
Really?
I felt my talk was very inferior to all the others, which held so much importance and value to the world and to the planet. There was a lady there, and I did have tears. She was talking about cancer, curing cancer, and her story was so deep and profound and meaningful. There was someone else talking about saving the world and water and children who dying. And you know, these are very strong and serious subjects, and I got up and talked frivolously about food.
Well,
And
you
I
brought
felt
the
a little
smile back to where we were.
well,
because
it served a purpose within that.
Yes.
But I did feel a little bit smaller.
the emotions did go up and down in the audience. We
Yes.
were all over the place.
But I think that's the
what it's
beauty of
about.
TEDx.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the beauty of
Exactly.
it. And we also learn so much from each other. The day before, we had to do our speech, in front of each other, and our fellow speakers could comment and criticise your delivery.
Did it go well?
It did actually.
You smiled and it all
I
went
was
by.
quite surprised, but at one point I went blank. I never go blank. And at one point I was like, I've forgotten page 16.
There you go. Sometimes when you're put in the spot, it's the worst experience.
Well,
ever.
yeah.
You have to learn survival of the fittest.
But on the day it was all right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you mentioned right at the very top there is all about timing. And you do have, people I don't think can see it, there's a digital clock on the floor to your left as you're standing facing the stage. And it's got a countdown. And I saw on someone else's behind stage and I saw it and they went over. And it starts to get off, get off, get off.
It's like the X Factor where you get the beeper.
Get off.
Oh dear.
Gosh, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I did look it down, came out 1 second to go.
Well done, Alan. Well, talking about confined spaces, and as we did the event last year on the super yacht, how was that experience being in a galley compared to a kitchen where you can have absolutely anything and everything?
It's controlling. That's not a bad thing. I have been used to large kitchens. I have opened the largest hotel in Europe, 1,098 bedrooms. I had a brigade of 68 chefs, international chefs under me. and I had a huge expanse and huge kitchens, 3 lines plus an open kitchen, and it was all about managing the business. That's what an exec chef does. Then you also have to start to learn how to work in a tiny confined space, and it means you need to make it organised, more organised, think in a different way, and it's just a case of adapting to it. I'm really pleased that I have it. It's a wonderful experience, absolutely excellent. Those steps are quite steep, and they certainly keep the calf muscles working.
Yes, it's a good workout being on a yacht.
I think I was on level 3 or 4. And
up and down, and we were discussing, shall we be on the top level or on the middle ground level, but in the end it all worked out.
It all worked out. The weather was beautiful, the location beautiful, the backdrop of Monaco. I think everybody enjoyed the food, which is more important for me. Absolutely. But to stand there and cook and prepare when you've got such a backdrop, wonderful.
Fresh
air.
The best views in the world.
Absolutely.
And in fact, now we're sitting on the other end of the spectrum. We were looking at this end of Monaco, and
this weather, I'm glad we are.
Yeah. So tell me a bit more about your favourite ingredients, perhaps.
I don't have any.
As a food archaeologist, though, you have seen it all.
I know, I still keep learning. Yeah. This is one of those wonderful jobs where we can still keep learning, learn off of each other. And I think the biggest learning curves I have right now is modern technology in the kitchen. There's more new equipment coming out, which certainly serves its purpose in terms of helping the chef in ensuring standardization of quality without question. Some technology is absolutely wonderful. But when I go into a kitchen and I look at an oven and think, how do you turn that off?
Sometimes I think that of my oven. I think I've only used 2 functions so far, so yeah.
Well, this one operated from your mobile phone.
Oh my!
Yeah, so therefore...
So you could be somewhere else and you say, right, in half an hour
Absolutely, by the time in and whatever.
Wow.
This was a huge, also, which I'd never come across, a water bath without water.
Ah.
Yeah, and it wasn't a steamer either, because steam operates at 100 degrees.
Yes.
Okay, so yet again, new technology.
So you learn every day.
You learn every day, but also because of my age and my positioning within the industry, I can now designate these menial tasks like turning on the oven to commas.
We know it inside out. Yeah, it's like a mobile phone nowadays. The kids know more about it than us. The different apps. Wow.
Yeah. We're all permanently learning. I love fresh ingredients, quality ingredients, and I've decided that, well, I have for a long time, it always has to stick to quality, find the best quality. In my own restaurants, I spend as much time, if not sometimes more, sourcing the quality ingredients on a daily basis to ensure the quality than what I do cooking. All the cooking has to be done, of course, but you spend equally as much time sourcing, because without one you can't do the other, is my view. And a lot of chefs, obviously, they don't have the time or they don't have the inclination, they don't want to, but I think that's what sets out and sets apart a good chef.
Okay. And in terms of the future of cooking, we see a lot of this culinary extravaganza with all sorts of molecular inventions, perhaps. Do you think that that's going to be the future for us also, mere mortals, who don't cuisine as high-end as you do, or top
Well,
chef?
last year I had the great pleasure of spending an entire day with the founder, creator, the professor of molecular gastronomy.
Wow.
He and I, all day together. Now, I do not use a great deal of molecular work within my work. Yet again, I prefer to go for quality ingredients. I'm more traditionalist, yes. I'm more classical, yes. I like a few twists, but I don't play around with food for the sake of playing around with food. Now, I know the molecular gastronomy chefs will probably argue with me, and yes, it has served a beautiful purpose of turning plates into pieces of art, which is also a wonderful journey, and I do enjoy that as well. But in terms of molecular gastronomy, it's not been my scene. So I'm now pleased to say, in the words of the master himself, the creator, molecular gastronomy is dead. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
In his words. So that I'm only repeating and not blaspheming.
So he'll come over to your end then of the spectrum.
No, he has. Look out for him. His name is Hervé Vis, spelled This.
Okay.
Hervé Vis. And he's the professor who taught all the top 3 Michelin star gastronomic chefs. and he's created something new called note by note cooking. You've heard it first on this show.
There we go. We're really into the big innovations that are coming out, and not just in yachting or luxury, but
Note by note cooking, look out, is coming out, and it's to replace molecular gastronomy. It'll be interesting, but not also forgetting that some people are still only talking about gastronomy, molecular gastronomy now. It's been out 30 years.
Okay, so some people haven't been advertising it much, or PR needs a booster.
Or it may take 30 years before you hear of note to note cooking.
Thanks to you, Alan. We know everything. You're amazing. And also your accolades. I mean, I'm catching up on all the things that I'm trying to do. But look at you. You've done so many amazing things. Tell us about, like, a little bit in a nutshell, elevator pitch your journey.
I can't. It's still far too long. Chef for many, many years.
How did you get into it?
Aged Blaine, Monaco.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I came here aged 13.
Wow.
13. An English lad from Heaney, Derbyshire. And in all honesty, my treat on a Sunday, the family treat, was a tin of salmon. Britain back then wasn't fantastic for its gastronomy. It was very basic, and we didn't look at restaurants or going out, and that was fairly elite. So I never really came across or experienced any of that as a young child. I came to Monaco aged 13. And we're very susceptible. At the age of 13, you're absorbing all kinds of things. And I absorbed the aromas of bread from the boulangerie, the beautiful artwork and the patisserie, and going up through the streets of Monaco and seeing the market, and going through the indoor market. And I can always remember there was a guy there, and he said bonjour, and I said hello, and he wrapped up a piece of ham. And every day I went past, he gave me something different to taste, wrapped in a little piece of wrapped paper. I'd go through the market and people were tasting, and even offered me grapes to taste. And I was 13, just looking at all these different ingredients and foods, and they were giving me tastes.
You marveled.
At the time, if you had a taste of anything in a shop or on a market in England, you'd be arrested for theft. Here they are giving it you. And that was such a different in town. I'd walked past what used to be called Le Bec Rouge. I'm not sure if it's still there. And anyway, it was near the market. I should go back and look. And Le Bec Rouge had like bars from the street. You could see it down into the kitchen, and every morning they raked out the stove because it was solid fuel cookers.
Right.
I'm showing my age now.
Oh dear, now, yeah.
And they'd rake out the cookers and stuck it up with fuel, ready to get the cookers every morning. And all the celebs used to go there, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, they'd have pictures and that. But that's the place where they used to creep into, around the back of the Monaco market there, to Le Bec Rouge. And I saw that. And then I'd wander around, and further down the harbour there was some place with lobsters, live lobsters swimming around. Never seen that before. And the waiters so smart in the white shirts. So this was a total new creative experience for me. And I thought, why do we not have this in Heaney, Derbyshire? Come on.
And you brought it over.
And seriously, my mission when I returned was to deliver my experience back home. And that's where it all started. And the minute I got back home, I wanted to go to coaching college. At the age of 6, I finished my exams, my levels, went straight into coaching college. I did my 2 years at coaching college, got my certification, and last week I went to a 40th year reunion at the very college. I've not been back since.
Oh, that's so nice.
So it all goes around what comes around. So I went back there last week and stood there in my old classroom and the old kitchen, and they've still got the old fish kettle still on the same shelf.
That's
quite emotional actually. Anyway, I left there, got in my car, little Renault 5, and I drove across from the Isle of Man where I was, over to the UK, drove to France on the ship, and then drove all the way down to Monaco. I stayed in a little B&B and came to work here at the very place which is now the Fairmont. It was called the Lowe's Hotel.
Okay.
And I was the only English boy, only English coming in a large brigade of 60 plus chefs. And I didn't speak French either. And I can always remember the exec chef, Chef Tourney. He had this extremely tall chef's hat, very classical look. So you could see who the exec chef was.
Like on your profile photo.
Exactly.
Yes.
Very, very taller than that.
Oh.
Taller than that. So you stand out above the rest.
Right.
You can't work with it, huh?
No.
Think about it.
No,
you can't move.
Very,
Long apron down to the ankles. That means you can't bend down to the oven. So you knew who the exec chef was.
Right.
And he was there. His eyebrows came above his hat, pointed. His beard, moustache was pointed. and his beard was pointed,
Yes.
and I'm sure there was two horns underneath that hat. Really did. And I think it was week 3, and I remember it so vividly. He said, "Coxon." I said, "Oui, chef," in my English accent. I was trying to pick it up, and he said in his French accent, "What are you doing in my industry?" I said, "Your industry, chef?" He said, "Yes, the French chefs makes the best chefs." He said, "You are English?" I said, "Yes, I know I'm English." "What should I do?" He said, "English, a policeman."
Ah, right. Okay.
I said, "I'm sorry, chef, I'm too short and I'm colourblind."
True said.
Yeah, well, you have to be a certain height and you have to see colours. He just looked at me, turned around, walked away, never spoke to me for 4 years.
No.
No. That's what it was.
Amazing.
It was tough. It was a real tough because I had to prove myself.
Right.
Because I was British, English, and they'd never worked with an English chef before. So I had to work twice as hard to prove myself, to battle, to get in with the chef, to learn as much as I could. And it was also at a time where chefs like to keep their art to themselves.
I see. It is an art for sure.
There's far more sharing now. We do a great deal of sharing now.
Right.
But back then it was very, what are you doing? You know, listen, it'd stop. When I went to go and have a look, "Oh, what are you doing, chef?"
No. Wouldn't tell you the ingredient.
No. Tell me nothing at all. So you had to battle for knowledge. And I used to hang around after my work and stood in the corner of the kitchen with the foie gras. Back then we had, I think, 6 or 7 restaurants. The foie gras, the piscu, the folie russe, l'Argentin, Café Jardin, room service. Now we have nobody here.
Yes, that's fine.
But then we had 7, and of course, obviously, that had to be manned by many, many chefs and many waiters. But it was interesting for me to learn about the provincial cuisine on the top floor for the pistou and the foie gras with the 1 Michelin star. Chef Le Monde is the chef of that restaurant. But I'd stand in the corner, and every night he'd look at me and say, "What are you looking at?" I said, "You, chef." "Well, go away."
Not allowed.
And that's what we used to do every night.
That's amazing. So perhaps that is why there are so many amazing chefs also going on yachts, because they get that peace of mind. They don't have to be overseen and monitored so much. But no, it's a beautiful.
No, it's a different, on the yachts it's a different way of life.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way of life. It's more personal way of life. I think with a hotel you can be quite disjointed from your guests. Other than going around saying hello now and again to a few people. With a yacht it's more intimate, it's more personal, and you have that opportunity to create and cook for more individuals.
Yes.
It becomes more family oriented as opposed to that divide of restaurant and hotel.
And for you, is it easier to cook for a family or for a large banquet? Because obviously you do quite a few banquets in your career as well.
Yes, I don't have a problem with either. Don't have a problem with the beautiful positioning that I've found myself in is the fact that I have the ability to do both. And I do functions for 700 to 2,000. I opened the largest hotel and did a function for 10,000.
Goodness, is that even possible?
Yeah, that was just chaos. Yeah. And what I didn't learn from that, then it wouldn't be worth learning.
Yeah.
That was incredible. But at the same time, you also have to adapt absolutely everything. Your mindset, the quantities, volumes, working environments, down to that small, private, 5, 10, 15, 20 guests, which is equally good. More sweaty, of course.
Yeah.
But it's good to be able to do both.
It's extraordinary. So there's no surprise that you've been nominated as the ambassador officially by the British Prime Minister to.
Former British Prime
sorry.
Minister.
Of course, there's been a few changes in the meantime. I'm
And
not
many more to
tracking
come,
this.
possibly.
But anyway, you are considered the ambassador, or is that done?
No, it's not. And well, not at the moment.
Right.
Not as far as I'm aware.
Great. So for food and beverages, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
food, beverages, and the words travel was also mentioned in there because I try and promote and support some of the gastronomy of the restaurants, the hotels, some of the food producers. We do have, and Britain does have some fantastic small food producers. We have the most eclectic, diverse restaurant scene on the planet. And we should be shouting about that. We should be supporting the guys that are doing that and delivering that. And it gives me great pleasure when I'm invited to go tour, to do demonstrations, to incorporate ingredients within those demonstrations, and to play, to travel the world if I can, to meet people of all walks of life, all religious denominations, and to learn also from wherever I go to.
Sounds amazing. You probably don't have a minute to your spare self, but there you go.
Usually on flights.
Yes, that's
Go
where
on,
you
you get
switch
it.
off. So I suppose this leads into the best question of the show. What is your definition of luxury in a food context, perhaps?
The definition for me in luxury is getting the finest quality base ingredients, because you cannot get anything better. There's everything out there, from a carrot to caviar, and the whole alphabet of ingredients. It's got to be quality, and when we can actually taste that and taste the difference is most important. You can have a roast chicken, or you can have one of the best roast chicken.
Exactly.
It's the same title as a chicken, but one which actually smells so good. It fills the air with its roasting aromas. The flavour when you put it in your mouth is something reminiscent of when you was a child, when chicken tasted chicken. The whole flesh, the texture in your mouth, the whole thing, the excitement of something so simple. Some simple fresh herb stuffing, some butter basted over the top, and you have a magnificent, beautiful product. So to me, quality is, I should say, luxury. It's about quality.
And also going back to basics, perhaps. Not going all that avant-garde and pushing the limits to something that perhaps is not welcomed anymore.
No, in all honesty, and you're quite right, it's a good point, because what I find is obviously people that have the fortunate opportunity to own a luxury yacht in life, to travel a lot in terms of business or pleasure, people that can have the enjoyment of eating at possibly any and every Michelin-star restaurant in the world, should they so please. And to have all of that, sometimes there's something down to earth, something grinding, something which is reminiscent of a bygone era. There's nothing wrong with a good, roast chicken, or a good creamy, a good creamy rice pudding, as long as it's done properly and with love and with heart. I used to have a deaf student in my kitchen, and I used to say, cook with the heart, cook with the heart. Never really realised that for 3 years. Then he went to work for Marco Pierre White.
Okay.
He did 4 years with Marco Pierre White, but year 3 he contacted me and he came running to me and said, "You are right, you cook with the heart."
That's beautiful. And on that note, I think we've covered everything. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much
Pleasure's
for
mine.
coming
Thank
on.
you very much.
Always such a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure's mine, and thank you very much for watching.
And if you're coming to the Chef Summit, please go and see Alan, and he will tell you all about the anecdotes and all the amazing ingredients he's cooked up and everything.
I will, I'll bore you to death.
So thank you all for watching this episode of Luxury with Natalia, Yachting International Radio. More episodes coming shortly, of course. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.